is the Euphrates River in 2020. And this is the Euphrates River now.
A mysterious cave just appeared under Euphrates River out of nowhere, fulfilling a 2,500-year prophecy.
Something strange is happening along one of the world's most ancient rivers. Now the ground is shifting, the waters are fading, and the warnings of the past are pressing into the present. And what's about to surface from beneath its depths may not only shake history, it may change the future we thought we knew.
This is the city of Al-Qurna in the southern marshland region of Iraq. And what we are looking at here is the Euphrates River.
The Euphrates River has always been more than a body of water. Flowing through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, it has been the lifeline of the Fertile Crescent, nourishing some of the earliest civilizations. In Scripture, the Euphrates is mentioned as one of the rivers that flowed from Eden, and later as a boundary in God's promise to Abraham. For centuries, it has been both a geographical landmark and a spiritual symbol. Yet in recent years, this river has taken on a new role that has caught the world's attention. Its waters have been receding at an alarming rate, leaving behind dry land where once there was abundance. The falling water levels have exposed ruins that were hidden beneath the surface for thousands of years. Among these discoveries are ancient walls, fortifications, and even caves that once lay beyond human reach. For many, this site is more than an archaeological surprise. It stirs questions about prophecy and whether ancient warnings are beginning to unfold before our eyes. The Bible speaks directly about the Euphrates in passages that connect its drying to divine judgment and the end of days. In the book of Jeremiah, God declares judgment on Babylon, saying, "A drought on her waters. They will dry up, for it is a land of idols, idols that will go mad with terror." At the time, Babylon's strength depended on the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. The prophecy warned that these mighty waters would one day vanish. Today, as both rivers face shrinking levels, the words of Jeremiah take on a fresh and unsettling relevance. Most recently, in 2022, drought in northern Iraq forced officials to drain the Mosul Dam reservoir, and with the water gone, something extraordinary appeared. Archaeologists discovered the remains of an ancient city known as Kemuni, thought to be part of the Mitanni Empire. Within days, they mapped a palace with walls 22 feet high and 6 feet thick, painted in vivid red and blue. They found chambers and fortifications that had been preserved for centuries beneath layers of silt and water. This was not simply a reminder of the past. It was a city reintroduced to history because the Euphrates and its connected waterways had drawn back. For people of faith, such revelations bring a sobering perspective. The Euphrates has always been tied to God's plans in Scripture. Its drying today may be a warning, or at the very least a reminder, that time and history move according to a greater design. The earth may be unveiling secrets long hidden, but the real mystery lies in what those secrets mean for the present and the future. Let's now tell you what secrets were locked beneath the Euphrates for millennia and why they are emerging now. Long before modern maps drew lines across the Middle East, there was Euphrates River that carried life through the heart of the ancient world. But for people of faith, its story begins even earlier, in the pages of Genesis, in the Garden of Eden itself. The book of Genesis tells us that a river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it was divided into 4 headwaters. The 4th river was the Euphrates. This small detail ties the Euphrates not only to geography, but to the very dawn of creation. It is one of the first rivers named in the Bible, and it has remained present in the sacred story ever since. When God made a covenant with Abraham, he promised that Abraham's descendants would inherit a vast land stretching from the river of Egypt to the great Euphrates. That promise placed the Euphrates not just on a map, but in a divine plan. In recent years, climate change, heavy damming, and prolonged drought have combined to reduce its waters drastically. Farmers along its banks see their fields dry and their livestock weakened, while archaeologists see a chance to uncover pieces of the ancient world. The book of Revelation describes a sequence of divine judgments during the tribulation, culminating in the 7 bowls of wrath. Revelation chapter 16 verse 12 says that the sixth angel will pour out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its waters will dry up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. This event, set within the most severe judgments of the end times, is presented not as an isolated occurrence, but as part of a global upheaval. That prophecy has sparked many questions. Are we witnessing a preview of what was written nearly 2,000 years ago? Or is this only a shadow of something still to come? What we know for certain is that the Euphrates is no longer just a line in a scripture or a current in a desert. It is a place where history, prophecy, and present reality are meeting. Within days, archaeologists realized they were looking at more than just scattered ruins. Beneath the dried bed of the Mosul Dam reservoir lay the remains of a city that had been lost for more than 3,000 years. The settlement, identified as Kemune and believed to have been part of the Mitanni Empire, offered a rare window into a world that had long existed in the shadow of better-known powers like Assyria and Babylon. The Mitanni were a powerful but little-understood civilization that flourished in northern Mesopotamia between the 15th and 14th centuries BC. Unlike Babylon, with its towering ziggurats, or Assyria, remembered for its armies, the Mitanni left behind few visible monuments. Their story had survived mostly in scattered references from their rivals. Now, with the city of Kemune rising from the mud, the Mitanni were speaking again, this time in their own voice. Among the discoveries were more than 100 cuneiform tablets, carefully stored inside clay vessels. Remarkably, many were still sealed, preserved by the same waters that had hidden them for centuries. Archaeologists described this survival as nothing short of extraordinary. These tablets are expected to reveal details about trade, governance, and perhaps even daily life in a city that once thrived on the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates system. Each tablet is more than just a fragment of writing. It is a message carried across time, waiting to be read in the present. The excavation also uncovered sections of a palace whose walls stood an astonishing 22 feet high and 6 feet thick. Traces of vivid red and blue paint still clung to the stone, a reminder that this was once a place of color and ceremony, not just bare stone. The scale of the walls suggested wealth and authority, a city that commanded attention in its day. Beyond the palace, archaeologists identified storage rooms, industrial areas, and defensive towers. These finds point to a city that was not only a center of administration, but also a hub of production and security. For archaeologists, every structure told a piece of the story. Storage jars revealed the grain and goods that sustained the population. Tools spoke of craftsmanship and labor. Towers and fortifications hinted at the dangers faced from rival powers. Taken together, the discoveries built a picture of a thriving city, once part of a sophisticated empire that connected trade routes stretching across Mesopotamia and beyond. What makes Kemune especially significant is its timing in history. The Mitanni rose to prominence during a period of shifting power in the ancient Near East. They maintained diplomatic ties with Egypt and battled with the Hittites, yet they eventually gave way to Assyrian expansion. Until now, their presence in history felt like a passing shadow. The ruins beneath the Euphrates offer the possibility of filling in the silence that has surrounded their name for centuries. These discoveries also carry a certain symbolic weight. For years, the Mitanni have been remembered only through the writings of others. Now, through their own architecture and records, they emerge as more than just a footnote to the great empires of Mesopotamia. Their voices, pressed into clay tablets and sealed away in the earth, are finally returning. The drying of the river that revealed Kemune raises questions that extend beyond archaeology. If an empire could vanish for millennia, only to reappear when waters receded, what other stories might still lie hidden beneath the sands and silt of the Euphrates? Each uncovered stone is not just a relic of the past, but a reminder that history is never truly lost. It waits for the right moment to return. If artifacts can survive thousands of years submerged, what stories are waiting to be read, and what will they reveal about us? Let's find out in the human cost of a drying river. The Euphrates has always been more than a river. For thousands of years, it has given life to the communities that settled along its banks. Its waters fed fields of wheat and barley, provided fish to families, and served as a natural road connecting villages and cities. Today, however, the same river is shrinking. Where once its current flowed strong, stretches of cracked earth now appear. The changes in the river are not only reshaping landscapes but also altering lives. Farmers are among the hardest hit. In Syria and Iraq, families who depended on irrigation now watch their crops wither. Wells that once reached groundwater are failing, forcing villagers to travel further for drinking water. Livestock once sustained by the river's marshes are starving as pastures dry up. A farmer in rural Iraq explained to a reporter that his buffalo had no grass left to eat, and he now spends money he does not have on feed. For people like him, the river's decline is not an abstract issue. It is a daily struggle for survival. Communities that have lived along the Euphrates for generations are beginning to scatter. Villages that relied on agriculture are emptying as families migrate to urban centers in search of work. What was once a source of stability has become a cause of displacement. The drying river, which has unveiled archaeological wonders like the ruins of Kemun, has at the same time unsettled the lives of ordinary people. The excitement of discovery exists side by side with the hardship of scarcity. Much of this crisis has been worsened by human decisions. Dams built upstream have redirected and reduced the natural flow of the Euphrates. Combined with years of drought and rising temperatures, the river is struggling to support the millions who depend on it. What was intended as progress, managing water for electricity and development, has created downstream consequences that are increasingly difficult to ignore. The unveiling of ancient ruins may inspire awe, but for those living along the banks today, the river's decline raises a sobering question. Who truly benefits from these revelations when local communities pay the highest price? The drying Euphrates also carries a spiritual reminder. In Scripture, rivers often symbolize life, blessing, and the sustaining power of God. Yet the Bible also speaks of a time when the Euphrates would dry, signaling upheaval and preparing the way for events that would shake nations. Jesus told his followers to watch, for you do not know the hour. His words encourage vigilance, not fear. The shrinking of the river is a visible reminder that even the strongest earthly resources can fail. Kingdoms rise and fall, but spiritual readiness endures. The Euphrates, once a powerful current, is now a quiet warning. Its silence calls humanity to reflect not only on the state of the environment, but also on the condition of the heart. Are we prepared for a future where resources diminish, or are we blind to the lessons written in creation itself? The slow retreat of the Euphrates River has revealed more than ruins and artifacts. It has uncovered questions that reach far beyond archaeology. As ancient walls emerge and sealed tablets are carried into the light, the world is reminded that rivers are not just natural features. They are symbols, teachers, and even warnings. What we see in the mud is not only a glimpse of the past, but a mirror reflecting the present and pointing toward the future. One clear lesson is practical. The drying of the Euphrates is a call to value the resources we have. For centuries, the river fed fields, supported trade, and provided water for countless generations. Today, its shrinking waters highlight how fragile even the greatest natural systems can be. It reminds us that prosperity cannot be taken for granted. The ruins of Kemun, once buried beneath its waves, now stand as silent witnesses to the truth that civilizations can flourish and also fall. To preserve what we have, whether food, water, or cultural heritage, requires awareness and responsibility. Another lesson is spiritual. The Bible connects the Euphrates to prophecy in both Jeremiah and Revelation. Some scholars suggest that its drying is symbolic of Babylon's collapse. They point to how Cyrus the Great diverted the Euphrates to conquer Babylon in 539 BC. In that reading, the drying river becomes a picture of judgment against human pride and misplaced trust. Others see Revelation 16:12 not as past or present, but as future, describing a supernatural act in the last days of tribulation. In this view, the drying of the Euphrates will not be a natural drought, but a divine intervention preparing the stage for events at the end of history. Still others reflect on the Euphrates as a spiritual boundary. For thousands of years, the river marked the edges of kingdoms and separated peoples. In prophecy, its drying may symbolize the removal of barriers before ultimate victory. When the river is gone, the way is cleared, not just for armies in a literal sense, but for the unfolding of God's plan in a spiritual sense. Whether one interprets these passages as history, symbol, or prophecy, the message remains weighty. The drying of the Euphrates cannot be seen as coincidence alone. It speaks of transitions, endings, and beginnings. For people of faith, these ruins and receding waters are a bridge between prophecy and action. They do not only confirm what was written long ago, but also challenge us to ask how we will live now. The rediscovered city of Comune shows that even empires thought powerful can vanish into obscurity, preserved only by chance beneath layers of mud. Our modern achievements, no matter how strong they appear, are just as temporary. The message of the mud is therefore twofold. It reminds us that time is fragile and history is fleeting. And it calls us to prepare, not only by preserving the material world, but by tending to the spiritual. The stones may have resurfaced and the stories may have returned, but the deeper revelation is about what will rise in us. The stones have surfaced, the stories revived, but maybe the real revelation isn't what's beneath the water, but what's rising in us. What do you think the drying of the Euphrates truly means? An echo of history, a sign of prophecy, or a reminder for us to reflect on our own time?